Welcome to the Infinity Bros podcast, the only podcast that is perfectly balanced as all things should be. I'm your host, Max Moser, here today, back with you again to chat Secret Invasion episode 4. I am not alone. With me today is my sidekick, the Batman to my Robin. I'm just kidding. You're the Robin to my Batman. Wait, which one of us is the sidekick? I guess I've never wondered that. Mark Jones.
I always envision that it's not like that's not our relationship. Like
That's true.
Your friend Jardine, our friend Jardine, would be your Robin. Or no, wait, he wouldn't be Robin. Or he'd be a Robin. He wouldn't be Dick Grayson. He'd be like Tim Drake.
Who's your Robin?
I'm more of the Bat family, so I probably have like 3 Robins. I have a Nightwing. You know who I am.
Your wife is Alfred. Yeah.
Yeah. But going back to us, I envision us more of like I'm a Blue Beetle. Or no, you're a Blue Beetle and I'm Booster Gold. Like that's our relationship.
Love that.
We're a Wolverine or a Deadpool.
Yeah.
I'm probably Deadpool because I have a nastier mouth.
Yeah.
Versus you're just strong.
Yeah, maybe like Deadpool with like Spider-Man almost, you know?
You want to be Spider-Man?
Maybe Deadpool I'm America. I'm the goody two shoes, I think, between the two of us. That's how that goes.
Oh, okay. So you're too good to, yeah. And you're not Daredevil to like
no,
that.
Gosh, no. Yeah. No.
Because you're not blind. But
praise the Lord. Welcome to the Infinity Bros podcast. As I said at the beginning, the only podcast that's perfectly balanced as all things should be. We're glad you're here, wherever you're listening, however you're listening. Thanks for making us part of your podcast experience. We hope you check out our other episodes talking about Secret Invasion. Today, we're going to talk about episode 4 entitled Beloved, directed by Ali Salim, written by Kyle Bradstreet, Brian Tucker, Jonathan Herbschbein, Samuel Jackson, Ben Mendelsohn, Kobe Smulders, Amelia Clark, Nisha Alaya, Don Cheadle, Kingsley Ben Adir, and Charlene Woodard are in this, as well as Killian Scott. We are going to spoil this episode, top to bottom. Top to bottom. So we want to make sure that you know we don't listen until you have watched this episode. Thanks for the download. Pause it, go watch it, come on back. So this is your spoiler warning.
This is
Prepare yourself.
an Infinity Bros.
Prepare yourself.
Spoiler warning.
And then we're going to rate some things. And we use a specific rating system. You know, a lot of shows might do like 1 to 10. This is how we rate things.
Here on the Infinity Bros podcast, everything is ranked from a 0 to 6 point scale. 0 meaning horrible and 6 meaning absolutely excellent. If all of the Infinity Bros rank something a 6, it gets an Infinity Step.
So, Mark, Secret Invasion episode 4, it's been a show that we've both thoroughly enjoyed to date. Our average has stayed somewhere in the 5 to 6 range for all 3 episodes. Can you tell the audience today what your rating of episode 4 was?
Gosh. It's like hard because I want to say 6. Realistically, it's probably a 5.8 in my book.
Okay.
I go back to like, I know I've been an advocate against this thought, but I wanted more. It was too short of an episode for me. I liked the long drawn out stuff, and it just felt like you said pre-show, it's like on the edge of my seat the whole ride. And I'm just like, it's like a will they won't they type of situation. So
this one is really, really hard to rate because I think you're right. The other thing that this show, at least in episodes 3 and 4, there are certain things that have been predictable. But for the most part, they've zigged when I thought they were going to zag. And I really appreciate that about this show. And I think the emotional stakes have been really high. I've heard a lot of people give really strong feedback of the story with Fury is good, but the spy espionage story has no flavor or fat to work with. And I thoroughly disagree with that. The stakes are evident and clear. They were lined out in the first episode. And this feels like a really great Tom Clancy book or film or whatever type of espionage stuff you consume. So I'm with you though. I feel like there's still a little more they can do to really push this over the top to get it to a 6. I'm going to stay at a 5.5. I really have enjoyed this show. And Mark, I'm telling you, this is one of my favorite MCU shows to date so far. I feel like all 4 episodes have been strong. All 4 episodes have had me going like, oh my goodness, at the end of it or at some point in the episode. So I'm really pleased with it. And yeah, 5.5 for me, 5.8 for you. Let's dive into this episode, and so our listeners can talk about this, listen to us talk about this more. So right out the gate, we talked about this last week, but Gaia recovers from her wound. One of the things we were talking about last week was we were arguing, could Daisy from Agents of Shield, could she be playing the skrull version of Daisy?
Yeah.
That was an argument that some people were making. My personal theory that did come true, that I'm here to pat myself on the back about, was that she had done some type of super scrolling to herself. We saw that. So Gaia did have extremists. What'd you think of that?
In my mind, it's like, that's crazy that they're bringing that back. But that's what I love about this whole run that, Daddy Feige's doing for us, is like, oh, we don't forget. The only thing we forgot about is that giant, what are they called? Celestial that's out of the ocean. Only thing we've forgotten about.
But it's been referenced. It's
but like not by a main player. It's been referenced in
Sure.
background stuff. But
I mean, that's a pretty big moment when an Eternal just approached Earth and took a couple people off the planet.
yeah, I mean that too. But whatever. Well, the people they took off planet weren't people; they were Eternals.
Do you still think Eternals isn't a good movie?
I think Eternals is a good movie. I've never said it wasn't.
Okay, I think it is too. I think people really crap on it too much.
I think that movie, and I've said it before, got better with the second watch.
I'd agree with that. We find out she's part of extremists, or she has extremists in her, excuse me. And she lives. She reunites with her dad, Talos, who reveals that he plans to ask the United States President Ritson to help the Skrulls after they successfully stop the rebels. This disappoints her, makes her frustrated, and she essentially calls him crazy and nuts.
It's funny watching My Beautiful Wife Kelly. When Talos gives her the plan, she's like, my wife Kelly, my beautiful wife Kelly, said it's like, that's it, that's his plan, and she's like, no wonder Guy is walking away, because it's kind of not good. So
do you think this is bad writing, or do you think this is a big setup?
I can't say it's bad writing. I have a feeling the writers for this show is like, everything's on purpose, just given the stakes. But I think it's just showing that what I think it does show the scene is how kind of out of touch Talos is to like how, stuff should be done, because he's been out of the game as a leader, from what we know, for a few years. So
yeah, I will say that this whole show could go down in my ratings if scenes like this aren't explained, right? Like if I agree, I would agree with Kelly's idea. I didn't buy that from him. And also, when I watched this, did anybody else I mean, I guess, Mark, it's just you and I, but did you get the understanding that this was like borrowing essentially the X-Men way of doing things, of like how Charles Xavier's like, they'll love us if they see our hearts, and Gravik is kind of doing the Magneto thing where he's like, they're awful, they'll never love us, we need to eradicate them, and we're superior to them.
I never put that together, but that's just, if that's true, if we find out in 20 years when they do the whole documentary of the writing of this stuff, and they're like, "Yep, we pulled this from that," I'd be like, applause. That's a good like tip of the cap if that's the reason why they did it.
Because that's to me what it feels like, and it's okay, but that works to me better with X-Men because they stand for more of the racial reconciliation of their time. That's the reason they were written by Stan Lee and Kirby initially, but I agree with Kelly. If that scene's not better explained, I'm like, you're just retreading a really, really old arc, and that's not creative. And essentially, you're setting it up for what happens at the end here, for her to be upset and for her to be vindictive after that.
Yeah, it's an old way of thinking, and she knows that's not how it's going to work in modern society. So I think it's just showing how in touch Gaia is probably with the world, and how out of touch Talos is with the world.
It wouldn't surprise me in 2 episodes if Gaia replaces Talos' role with Fury. And then by the end of this arc of whatever's going on here with multiverse, that, somebody else takes over S.H.I.E.L.D. or S.W.O.R.D. And
I just imagine this is going to, like, I'm really in the boat where Gravik doesn't die at the end. I think Gravik gets pushed off world.
Yeah, I agree. I think Gravik would be a great villain in the future. Or to team up with other people. Like, I just think he'd be great. Priscilla meets with Rhodes. It's revealed he's disguised as a Skrull. Mark, we called this for years. We finally finally have this. We feel vindicated. Feige has teased that he's been a Skrull for a while, and he likes the idea that people could go back and watch it. So that is confirmation from my end that he's a Skrull in Endgame. How far back do you think he's a Skrull, and how far do you think they're willing to take this?
Well, I've said on the podcast, what would be great if we find out he's been a Skrull since Iron Man 2.
Oh, it'd be great.
And like I said, like how Terrence Howard's like the original, and like for some weird reason, only like a few people, like let's say like Rhodey's parents are dead, like he has no family, so like the only people that really remember what he looks like are like a few of like his buddies, and I guess Tony Stark, which then leads me like Tony Stark's also a Skrull, or all his buddies turned in. Anyways, I don't know how that would be explained though, but yeah, I hope that, like, talking about being, led down, shown, revealed when he became a Skrull is going to be very important, I believe, because that's going to change how you watch these movies. If you know, like, oh, Rhodey's been a Skrull since post Civil War, like he gets, when he's I'm sure that's probably where we're going to see it. He gets paralyzed. Skrulls see an opportunity to replace him.
I think it was after Age of Ultron.
You think earlier? Okay.
I think it was Age of Ultron. I think it was, or Iron Man 3. Iron Man 3 would have been a good time frame to do it as well with the Iron Patriot suit.
But I see, like, that's why I go Civil War, because that would have been a perfect opportunity where people wouldn't have been around him, so it would have been an easy transition.
That too. But the reason I say that is
but if they do that, Rhodey could be dead. Like, our
but Rhodey also is really, really, really in on the government in Civil War. Now his character naturally would be that way, but I just feel like that would have been a great time for a Skrull to try to divide things up, and for him to go, or in this case, it's a female that's posing as him.
Yeah,
I think it dates back to that. This is my crazy conspiracy theory. I think Sam Wilson is a Skrull now.
Why do you think that, Max?
Of the way Infinity War ended.
Yeah.
And because I think it would be a great twist to put at the end of the next Captain America movie. I think you still have Bucky in the picture, and so that would give him the opportunity to pick up the shield and or get Sam back in the picture in some capacity. I find it very suspicious that Rhodey, if he was a Skrull in Infinity War, and this is where we got to figure out when he became it. And I think next episode we're going to get that. I think episode 5 is where we find out where this happened.
So to piggyback off that conspiracy about Sam Wilson being a Skrull, that potentially is how you get Steve Rogers back as Captain America.
I just find it suspicious that in Infinity War, Rhodey was yelling for Sam.
Yeah, it's involved in that, because like why?
That's just suspicious now.
Versus like, who should he have been calling for?
Nobody, but I'm just saying, why was Sam on his mind?
Because he was with them.
I know him and Sam were fighting together, and I know they were doing tons of stuff in that war, and that's the justification people will make. But what if he was fearful that his brother died or his sister died?
Or lover, if they were partners, Skrulls.
Great point, right?
Oh, this is just like I said, when this show was going to become a thing, I told the group, like, this is conspiracy row of what possibilities could be.
With all due respect to the Rhodey one, that's a layup. We desperately need what happened in the comics. We need Spider-Woman. We need somebody really, really big to be this Skrull. We desperately need a mainstay actor to do that. And I think Sam Wilson would be great to do. I know a lot of people may feel that would undercut the message of the TV show.
I agree. That's where I can't go with that because of that reasoning.
Yep. And maybe and you and I really liked that show. We a lot of people dogged that show. We really liked it.
I would be both disappointed and ecstatic if we find out Sam Wilson is a Skrull.
Sure. I just would like to see one more major character do it. And I think Sam Wilson, that'd be a fun twist.
If you hear me out. So if we're doing if there's another character, would it be like a post Civil War Avenger where it's someone new, or still another?
Yeah, maybe a female. I mean, the other one that I go to that I really love is, I love that everybody at Wakanda is a Skrull. That it's just Shuri.
I would enjoy that, because that would be huge implications of like, how the heck did this happen? If it was just
how did this happen? What does this mean for the future of Wakanda? I've let my brother and Wakanda and my parents down again. Gentrification, you could totally make a whole story about that. I just think there's a ton of great stories
And
in
potentially
that
she starts
for a third Black Panther.
the Illuminati to keep tabs on the world.
Exactly. I think there's just real awesome storytelling that Ryan Coogler could take to a level that I can't.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Let's see. The Sam Wilson's just like, it's like, okay, if he was it, I'm suspicious of that.
Yeah,
That's
well,
all. It probably isn't
pretty
real
much
too.
anyone can still be a Skrull. Like Nick Fury, we could find out
Sure.
a Skrull, but that'll be interesting how
that's the other theory right now is that the Nick Fury on the planet is just a Skrull, that he just sent a Skrull down, that's really his wife. His wife has been hiding Talos' wife. And that's why Fury had such a big reaction at the end of this episode. And that's why he shot Gravik.
Yeah.
Right? That what if Nick Fury's really dead?
Ooh.
He's been dead this whole time. And it's just a Skrull posing at him.
That would be wild. Like we're saying
the wife didn't die, Fury died.
And that's why the Fury that we know has been gone for 5 years,
and why he's been a step behind and why he's been old and all that stuff. Like there's going to be something like that these last two episodes.
I was going to ask how many more episodes there are. So there it is.
There's 2. There's 6. Priscilla meets Rome.
I love the scene. I don't know if we've gotten to there yet, but where Nick Fury comes into Rhodey's, or I almost said the Skrull Rhodey's. Yeah. Okay. Oh yeah, in the church. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Sure. Mm-hmm. Oh, I liked it. I very much enjoyed their dialogue from the 2012 scene, and then this one where I'm like, there's so much respect and love with each other that they're not going to kill each other, and they're just going to deal with the consequences and know that they can't be with each other for the next however long it takes. What I enjoyed, or what I thought was very, I don't know what's the right word for it, but when she says something along the lines like, would you like love me in my normal form? And he like doesn't answer that question and just leaves. Like it just, I was like, oh, he's such a tease. Like he's like, I'm not giving you that satisfaction because I want you to remember, like, basically saying like, of course, but without saying it, because then you can still build on. Anyways, we'll see what they get back together. That'd be a neat thing.
I interpreted it the same way. I thought the poem dialogue was great. I was moved by this, Mark. I really enjoyed this, and maybe that's the reason why I'm okay with the story being so bleh.
Yeah.
Is because I feel like the character development for this character that I've known since Iron Man 1, to finally get these moments with him, I think it's worth it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's worth it. And you and I both think Secret Invasion is a prequel anyway. We think this story is not ending in 2 episodes. Let's be honest.
Like
there's no way
like, to just let us know. Like this is where I won't be surprised if we find out one of these like the bad Skrulls like starts, like we were like, oh no, Skrulls are kind of winning. They've decided to infiltrate a different area, and now we have to be suspicious who's a Skrull going forward.
Yeah, now everybody will do what you and I have done with Skrull Watch.
Yep.
Yeah, which is fun. That'll be great. Oh, Fury visits Fake Rhodes and shares a drink with him. This is where it's revealed that he's a female, which that was interesting. I'm interested to see where that goes long term. I don't know. Again, I don't know if we're going to get that answer the next 2 episodes. I hope
awaken something inside me. That's the first that gif of the deed. That's that made me think of that.
Even his shadow. Look at his shadow. Fury visits him, shares this drink, and puts a liquid tracker on him. And Talos.
And I like how he.
You wanted to talk about this?
I just love like he's like nanotech, like And then it was nanotech that he put in the drink.
It was brilliant.
This is the scene where I'm like, is he gonna kill Rhodey? Is that what we're gonna see? Like, he's gonna be like, because there's so many opportunities, but clearly Nick Fury has some agenda going on here. Because he could have just, because at this point, Rhodey, the Skrull Rhodey's got to probably think like, oh, he doesn't know. He doesn't know that I'm a Skrull.
I think this was to double down and make it so Skrull Rhodey knew that, okay, Nick Fury doesn't know who I am. I can still kind of talk to him on the side if I'd like.
Yeah.
But also this was his way of saying, like, get away from me, because the more you pull on this thread, the more likely you are to figure out it's me. And so here's my proof that you're the one that killed Maria Hill. Do you think Maria Hill's dead, Mark? We haven't seen a body yet.
Kelly, I said this. I was like, I don't think Maria Hill's dead. And she's like, I don't think they would have given us that beautiful scene with Nick and her mom if she wasn't really dead. And I'm thinking,
I don't know.
I'm like you said, like, yeah, we got the casket and all that. I don't know. I hope she's not dead. And that's like the big plays. Like she's been, I don't know. I don't know how they could how that tie in. Maybe she's really dead. I don't know.
Yeah, as the big play just at the end of this episode, she's hooked up to one of those neuralizer things, and she's now somebody's being her now as a Skrull. A Skrull has taken her version of her form now, and she'll be able to manipulate Avengers on the side. And in the name of Nick Fury, I don't know. They attract Ritson. Ritson catches the smell of alcohol on Rhodey's breath. I thought that was really interesting, and that was kind of his first suspicion. And then the Skrulls attack as Russians Ritson, and they mow down everybody. And the British Army shows up.
Oh, we also get a little bit of the Super Skrull from Gravik.
Yep, we see him use Groot's powers, which I was disappointed in that, Mark. Pretty disappointed in that scene.
Yeah.
You hyped this up in the trailer just to show me literally that's it.
It was just a taste.
I don't know.
I'm sure
the
we're
Super
get
Skrull
more
thing.
When him and Gaia have to fight
I
each
hope
other.
so. I hope so. This 6-episode arc is I will complain about that at the end of this, probably no matter what. The aid of the British Army help comes, and Talos is trying to get Ritson out. He does eventually do that after getting shot.
Yep.
Fury and one of the British soldiers is impersonated by Gravik. He stabs Talos. Talos shoots Gravik in the face, and Gravik heals immediately, and Fury drives off with Ritson in the car, and he is now officially alone.
Fury had enough time to get Talos's body, and I'm a little upset that didn't happen. Because Gravik was going away, so why did Fury drive off with the president?
No,
because this is what's gonna come up, because I don't think it's been said yet, because it was in the trailer. Because Rhodey says, "You're the most wanted man in America," so they're gonna pin something on him that he is the reason why the situation happened, and that they're gonna say that he kidnapped the president.
Yes. He didn't have no. He did not have enough time to grab.
I think he did, because they were fleeing too. So
no, he did not. No, he did not. I don't agree.
So now they're gonna pin that Talos is the reason why they were attacking.
I do agree with that, and I do agree that will be. I'm interested to see what Fury does with Ritson. Like, is this whole process like, look, here's what's going on, Ritson. You're gonna think I'm crazy because I'm this old man by myself, but I'm Nick Fury. I need you to help me right now.
He'll say that, and then Ritson will reveal that he's also a Skrull.
Oh my word. And this was just a big plan?
Yeah, the pin that Nick Fury is an enemy of the state.
Oh man. Wow, I love that. Not gonna lie to you, I love that, Mark.
Well, I'm just saying
that Ritson is a Skrull. Yeah.
And then how does Nick Fury get out of this? It's like you really have no pull anymore if you're wanted by the United States for kidnapping the president.
Yeah, he just ends up back in space.
But that's why I'm saying, like, this is my other thought. It's like, well, however this pans out, and the Marvels movie is post this, for what they've shown us in trailers, it's got to be, something good, like a positive thing happens where he's like kind of back in where he's going, or the Marvels movie happens before this,
or the Skrulls win and they take over in Sword as Nick Fury.
And that too.
And Gaia is the only one that knows it, and now has to be on the run and try to convince people to help fight the Skrull invasion. I'm just trying to spitball here. I don't know where this goes.
Because then
But
also, like, how do you so if a scroll thing's happening, how do you tell the because like the next Earth story would be the Captain America movie, right?
yeah, New World Order.
So like, is that tying into Skrulls? It's not New World. It's what is it now? Brave New
I know.
World.
That was a shot at you. Yeah,
I hate that they changed that.
I know. Well, did you like the WWE reference that the what was it? What was the reference that Rhodey made today? I mean, the episode he said like I
Oh yeah,
DDT'd
off the
them
top
or
rope. Yeah, that's just a wrestling term. It's
yeah,
not
yeah.
a WWE term, but you know whatever.
Oh, sorry. Forgive me. It's clues to the character. This elusive scroll female that's taken the shape of Rhodey. So yeah, all right. 5.5, I really like it, but I do concede to the people that talk about the greater story that this story could be meh. But I love what they're doing in Fury, and I love that they're siloing him. I love it.
I also find it.
This is a great way to strip powers. I love it.
I want to know why they've decided not to do any end credit scenes so far, because it's like
it's
like this is the type of show where you should have end credit scenes where it's just like, oh, here's the next mystery.
Yes,
but
I agree.
Or do you think that we'll see an Avenger show up? Like, does Miss Marvel show up? Not Miss Marvel. Captain Marvel show up at some point? Do we get Sam Wilson showing up? Like, I just feel like someone Fury. No, like I know he said like I don't want to bring any of the main players, but I just feel like someone's got to get involved at some point, because I think Fury's going to realize he's way out of his league when he's isolated or siloed, like you said. So
yeah,
unless he truly has a plan up his sleeve.
I don't know, man. I don't know where this show's going at this point, and I don't know if like I just don't know if like even Maria Hill's gonna be the ace in the hole.
Yeah, or
I just don't know.
Or does Blade show up? All of a sudden, it's Skrulls and vampires we're fighting.
Damn, I forgot that they still got to do vampires. It's crazy, dog.
Does Morbius show up?
No.
No.
Leave me alone. I don't want to talk about that.
Who's more likely to show up at the end of this? Jared Leto Morbius? Or Ralph Boner?
Ralph Boner. Gosh, why was that show so bad?
That show wasn't bad. It had
yes, it was.
It was one thing that made you mad, and it's
no. The ending shouldn't have been that way. That was ridiculous to have that build up for that ending.
It was a big swerve, and maybe it'll be paid off at the end. Like I said.
Golly, no. Then they tried to follow up with Doctor Strange, and like they tried to make her be empathetic, and she wasn't. She's just a nightmare.
I want them to release what the original plan was, because if all the listeners right now remember, it was supposed to, the first out of what was it? It was supposed to be the Winter Soldier, Captain America Winter Soldier show was the first one, right? And then it was Loki. Anyways, it was supposed to be WandaVision is shown, and then right after like that series is done, it was supposed to be the Doctor Strange movie. So if there's no COVID, no rewrites, what's the original story being told from WandaVision into the Doctor Strange 2?
It would have been way better. You're right.
Yeah. Because if I remember right, wasn't WandaVision not the original villain for that movie?
Well, I mean, and they didn't even work with Sam Raimi.
Yeah.
Like, I think COVID really took the energy away from Marvel to make these shows as cohesive as they want. I think Bob Iger said, I put a quote in our group chat the other day of like, how consumers just aren't consuming it and that they regret doing the thing they've done with the MCU and Disney Plus. And I politely just want to say, like, it's not the quantity, Bob. It's never been about the quantity.
Quality.
It is the quality. And the quality, and he kind of is blaming it as like, I want to make sure, hold on, I want to read this. Let me look it up real quick.
Because it's stuff, I get what you're saying, because it's stuff like where we hear like, oh, the writers or directors of WandaVision didn't read any of the comic book stuff.
That's my problem.
It's like, well, why? Like, is it on purpose? Or are they told not to? So it's like, if you're not reading the source material.
Bob Iger admits so many Marvel Disney Plus shows on Disney Plus hurt the Marvel brand. They ended up making a number of television series, and frankly, it diluted focus and attention. No, that didn't dilute focus and attention.
Bob Iger is saying this,
yes.
Hear me out, is saying this because he's conditioning us consumers that, oh, we're going to make less stuff because after this strike is done, we're going to be having less employees.
Yes.
And less writers. So we're not going to have the manpower anymore to produce all this stuff. and we're gonna always blame it on the strike and not take the blame ourselves because we're not
Yes.
willing to pay more money because we want more money. And
Preach.
it's all being seeded right now so that they can always blame the strike for why we don't put out more content.
And my argument will always be, one, collaborate. What made the first set of Marvel movies so good was, James Gunn says this now. He's really candid. He's like, I was talking with all these other directors all the time.
Mhm.
We were all in the same building working on the same stuff. That's what Marvel's got to get back to. And they need to do that on the TV show level. And they didn't do that.
Kevin Feige's approving this stuff. So
I know. I'm blaming Kevin Feige. I'm with you on this. But I'm not here to listen to Bob Iger's baloney when
Bob Iger
you've got a whole multiverse to use.
Yeah.
And let's be frank, the idea of bringing like Deadpool and all these Fox people into this and this Skrull stuff, this is really, really compelling stuff. But when you're putting it in 4 to 6 episodes, you're not fleshing certain things out that need to be fleshed out. And the story is just staying mid, or your story is this big buildup just to do something that's been done a billion times over. I'm looking at you, WandaVision. No, don't blame the quantity. Blame the fact that you didn't land the plane. And you didn't do that multiple times, versus Loki was kind of a little dull in the middle of it. And then all of a sudden the end was like, oh, by the way, here's Jonathan Majors as Kang.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's what I want from these shows. I want somebody crazy to show up. That's what I want.
You're right. And I think that's what did so... I wouldn't say like the movies in the past before Endgame did this, but you're kind of like, I get what you're saying, where it's like these shows should be like, here's a shocker, here's a new character.
100%.
I will say this. What made the movie so good is they were connected and moved us to the next movie or the next like saga in a sense.
Sure. Yeah.
Where this one, it's just like, I go to Moon Knight. It's like, well, nothing really connected to Moon Knight.
No. And they're like, well, we want to keep it separate. I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Your shocking character is a brand new character that's never been made. Fine. But then, or Hawkeye, the shocking, the thing that was positive about Hawkeye was that Yelena showed up. That is shocking. That's good. That was a good thing to have happen. In She-Hulk, Wong showed up. That's what made that show so good. It was really cool that
Skrull Wong showed up.
Probably Skrull Wong, but Kevin showed up at the end of that. Right, that was like a out of left field.
It was a nice twist. It was.
I liked the twist. I did. I liked it, and I believe you liked She-Hulk. Am I correct on that?
Yeah. We both.
You, me, and Zane. We were like, again, and just for the clarity, like the target audience of people that are being said that don't like She-Hulk, Zane and I are in that category of people. We loved it. I'm just more so making a point. Like, I think Captain America and the Winter Soldier did this. I'm sorry, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. They did this kind of too with the Dora Milaje showing up. I didn't expect them to show up. I didn't expect them to show up at all.
And it makes sense why they showed up though too. That's where it's like it connected back to the previous.
Made story. Complete sense. Yes. Yeah. And in this one, I think the Maria Hill death did that for me.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying. I think Maria Hill dying episode 1 was like, holy crap, they're throwing the gauntlet down. So when we got to Rhodey, that wasn't your big twist. It's so obvious it was Rhodey.
Mm-hmm.
It's just obvious. And it's okay. I'm okay with it being obvious. But now is the time, Marvel, to, if you don't do it at this 2 episodes, either do it in a post-credit scene or in the next 2 years, one of these post-credit scenes has to be somebody big on the Marvel team is a Skrull. Please.
Another what if for you. Who do you think is more likely to show up as from one of these groups? Someone from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or someone from the Thunderbolts?
Probably somebody from Thunderbolts. I think it'd be really cool if somebody from Thunderbolts was that. That would be a more cool way to go about it.
That would be the tie-on to push the story forward.
Yeah, and it would connect with kind of the same realm of Nick Fury, right? Like, there's a little more cross-pollination with those characters than
like it'd be like, oh, Thunderbolt,
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, like Ross has been watching you, so we're here to help out type of situation.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I think this Skrull thing could be really leveraged well with where Peter Quill's at too for Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Yeah.
I think it would get him back in the fight.
Well, I think it would. I couldn't imagine someone like Peter Quill's like seeing all this crap going on in the world. He's like, I know these guys. I should probably go help them.
I honestly, at this point, if they said, you know what, we're going to pause on this Kang stuff for 5 more years to find somebody else, and they just said, you know what, we're pivoting. We're going to go a Secret Invasion Part 1, Part 2 movie. Well, I'm all in. Let's roll.
Or like or you go back into Galactus and you kind of like that story could be that's how you get what's the zone that you say the Fantastic Four
The negative zone, yeah.
So like they come back from the negative zone because they're being captive, but like they're helping out with Galactus, and you kind of end Galactus with Kang showing up and then reversing the timeline.
Sure.
Something like that. That's pretty broad strokes, but like we kind of how you say you could pivot. I mean, you know, got him right there. Got Galactus right there.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think it's ridiculous. So, well, Mark, thank you for coming on.
Always happy to be here with you.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you for being on today, and thank you, Infinity Bros Universe, wherever you listen, however you listen. Thanks for making us part of your podcast experience. Who do you think's a Skrull? Shoot us an email at infinitybrospodcast@gmail.com. Comment on one of our TikToks. Robbie's working his tail off over there. If you like Magic the Gathering content, I'd love to point you to our Magic Monthly episode that just released recently, where we talk about the One Ring. Robbie and Jared are putting a ton of content out on that. See the elusive MTG card that Mark just got on our Discord channel as well. You'll want to check that out, and all the links that you'd want, your little heart will desire, in the link, the one link in the show notes. As always, I love you guys 3000. We'll talk to you soon. See ya. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to the Infinity Bros podcast. You can find the Infinity Bros on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at the Infinity Bros. Feel free to send listener feedback via email at infinitybrospodcast@gmail.com.